And I'm going to kick
Super.
it off. And I want to know how old you were when you started drumming, like how it came to be.
To actually start playing, I'd say about 6 years old. But how I kind of got into drumming, my dad loves drums. He's not a drummer. I think he might say otherwise, but I've never seen it on my kit, so I don't know. And he would like always like tap my hands to the rhythm of songs. I think he probably tried with my older siblings and they weren't interested. Whereas I was like, oh, that's fun. Like he would like play a lot of like Rod Stewart, the Police, sort of thing, playing along. And then my dad's friend, I remember I had this like blue and orange like electronic kids kit. I think they probably got to piss off my parents for Christmas. And I just didn't stop. We had like these speakers in the living room, and I'd always like max out the music and play along. Like really, really young, like not very good. Like when music's been so loud, it feels like it goes quieter. It was like the full volume, like you kind of get used to it. Mum was like, "You put it on top again." I was like, "No, I haven't. It's just gotten quieter. It's getting quieter. Don't worry." Um, yeah, and I got like a real kit when I was about 9 years old. Uh, this like battered up Session Pro thing, but I loved it. Bless my parents, they had it in the house, like in the living room for the first like month of having it. And then it went in the garage. Yeah, I just didn't really stop and haven't yet. So
Good. That's so nice. That's really lovely to hear that they're so supportive. So,
yeah,
what about influences and things like that? With Stuart Copeland, you talked about the police.
massively. Yeah,
Yeah?
massively Stuart Copeland, Keith Moon, Clyde Stubblefield and Steve Jordan as I got a little bit older and started respecting groove rather than just hitting things. But I'd still say number one forever was always going to be Stuart Copeland. And as I
Oh.
got older, yeah, like Mick Fleetwood, more like, and then when I sort of realised what a session drummer was, kind of looking more like Aaron just like studios drummers, um, and that became really interesting to me.
Not that I was stalking you, but
Oh, please,
I was on your
tell
Insta.
me.
And I think you posted this video talking about you getting the gig with Dave Stewart and you were 23.
Yeah.
Can you take us back to that time and how that even came about?
Yeah, it was the day before my 24th birthday. I got a DM on Instagram from Dave Stewart Eurythmics and it said, "Hey Ellie, it's Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics. Are you free in November?" I remember showing my dad and he was like, "Surely not. It's still got to be on Instagram." And I was like, "Huh, hey Dave, yeah, yeah, yeah." And now I know Dave. So it makes so much sense. I think that's how all the band came about. Our harmonica players from Brazil, everyone's from everywhere. And yeah, we had like a Zoom call and he was in his studio in the Bahamas. And at that point, I hadn't really done much. So this was a lot for the senses. And he's there going, "Yeah, no, Euro mixes. We do every genre ever, and there's no click, no track." And anything I'd done prior to that was like more pop, back in track stuff. So I was like, okay. Oh, and then the next thing I knew, I was looped in with his managers and like, "Cool, these are the dates. This is the deal." And I was like, right, okay, fun. And then I met up with Hannah, the music director, who's now one of my bestest friends and like assisted to me, one of the sweetest people in the world. But I only knew who she was from before. And I was a bit, I met up with her and she said, "Yeah, so there's 26 songs. You need to do the record version, the version we did in the Peace Tour in 19, and this version we did in 2019 with Noel Rodgers." And I was like, okay, okay. And then, yeah, I just basically blocked out everything. I put my like rolling kit in my room and just like played every version every day. I was 24 going to that, now 26. And it's not like a lot of people expect, because obviously Dave is older and the stuff's mainly from the 80s, that the rest of the band is going to be so much older. But I think the next in age to me was like at the time, like 28, 29, Julia Lamb on bass. And then now they're all sort of in their early 30s, which is quite nice because when I turned 26 this year, all my friends were a little bit older. I was like, and like a couple of years ago when I turned 22, I was like, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world. I'm 22. I'm so old." But when I turned 26, I was like, "Oh, is that it? Everyone else is 30 now." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, this has helped with my ego."
So,
um,
so Dave Stewart has picked an all-female band,
yeah.
and what's it like to work with all women? And do you think there's a reason that he's picked women in particular?
So they're all incredible. And like, I feel like I'm so much of a better musician and person, as cliche as it says, from sort of growing up in the past couple of years, playing with them and being with them and learning from them. Because I remember at first, I knew who the band members were. I'd seen Yasmin on sax that was playing with George Ezra, and Julia Lamb played with Tom Grennan for years. And I was like, I've done like a few TikTok artists that are quite small and like little gigs, and I was just like, but like from day one, it was amazing. They are just incredible. And yeah, he kind of went with the all female thing. I think obviously Annie Lennox doesn't do it. We have like a array of different amazing, incredible vocalists on it. I think she just would never want to tour again. She does like one-off shows, but she just doesn't want to tour. And I think it's kind of the female thing is kind of to pay homage to her. He's the best person in the world, and I think he said in the past, like, he just likes working with women. I think he is he's not like a lad's lad kind of guy. He's like a very sensitive, lovely. He said to us after the first tour that this was like his, favorite sort of setup that he's done. He was like, there's no ego on stage. Everyone's listening to each other. Everyone cares about each other. And it became like a family unit really, really quickly. Yeah, and they're all just so incredible. And I'm just so lucky to sort of be with them and call them all like family now. I really miss them.
Did he ever say what he had seen of you online that made him get in touch?
Yeah, I think they were looking for a drummer for a while. I think they had everyone else locked and they didn't have a drummer. And it was Julia Lamb, the bass player. We kind of knew each other through Instagram. I think she'd put my name forward. When I first spoke to him, I played for an artist called Michael Aldag for years. He was kind of my first gig and one of my bestest mates. And there was a video of us at Reading and Leeds or something. And he was like, I like it when you play with the ginger bonkers boy because he's running around and you're running around. He just likes things crazy and fun and over the top. And I've really leaned into that the past couple of years being around Dave.
Have you got any particular favourites from the set with Dave Stewart that you like to play and continue?
Songs?
You tell us why.
Sweet Dreams it's pretty simple on the drums. It's just like a loop of a 4/4 kick pattern. But and we like spice it up a bit in the middle. But that just, to me, I've played like songs that younger artists, they might have a hit on TikTok and they're screaming those lyrics, which is incredible. But playing Sweet Dreams, which is a song that is kind of fabricked into our society, and seeing like, I remember we've done 4 tours. It was the tour last year. It just sort of set into me, like, there's a few people in the front row that they're not just fans of Dave and this artist, they've been fans of this band for 40 plus years. I felt like an incredible pressure to get it right. And, a lot of his fans message us and say how amazing we've done a job at translating it into like a modern day thing. But yeah, playing Sweet Dreams for the first time was, and every time I've done it, actually, that first, it kind of, I count it in 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, you can actually hear my high pitched voice in the mic, and I always forget that I'm doing BVs. I've got a mic there. Hitting these 2 floor toms and this like do. I like every time I'm a bit like whoa, and then I like remember I'm doing the gig and I carry on. Yeah, that doesn't really get old, and I've done that over 100 times now. A lot of the set we kind of like rock it up a little bit, like you'd expect with the Eurythmics stuff. It would be a lot more electronic kind of rototoms that I expected to come onto the gig, but it's quite it's all live. It's all very kind of Rolling Stones kind of esque, and there's a couple of songs, I Need a Man, Love is a Stranger, the ones that I get to like really dig in, and like Dave comes up on the drum riser with his guitar, like they're the ones I'm like on There Must Be an Angel, there's like obviously on the record it's Stevie Wonder's harmonica, but our harmonica player from Brazil is incredible, and when we had sax and harmonica they do like a 5-6 minute duel off solo at the end. I'm not thinking about what I'm playing. I'm just like watching them, like wow.
That gave me goosebumps, like thinking of it.
Did you say that there's no click for the shows?
So it's all on me. We have a little bit for Sweet Dreams because there's a little bit of programmed like choir voices. To have that, we kind of need a little bit, but that's the only one. The rest is all live.
How is that?
Again, as I said, like from the first time doing it, I was like, oh my God, I've never really been in that position. Everything I'd done at that point was kind of more pop, back and click. I just did it so much that the tempo was non-negotiable in my head. And yeah, there's no way I could possibly. I remember on the first tour, actually, I'm lying. I had my SBD for a couple of samples. I would have for every song, I'd have the tempo in there, so the click would just be just to my ears, no one else. And if I'm feeling a bit, or sometimes I get really excited, and like my internal wants to play far, like but I'll just like tap the click, so I'm like, and then turn it off. I won't have it for the
Yes.
song because every song sometimes changes a little bit. They might do
Yes.
something else. It's always a little bit different, the show, which I love. But at first I was like, oh my God, it's not the same thing. And then sometimes Dave starts it and sometimes it's a very different song. And that's just what he wants to do, and it's fun. I kind of love and embrace the fact that it's always going to be a bit different, and it's pushed me a lot and made everything else I do kind of a bit more like, oh, okay, it's going to be the same every night. Easy, not easy, but like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, it must be quite exciting now that because you're used to that format, whereas at first it must have felt like, oh my gosh, maybe the rug's been pulled out from you. But that's awesome.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of musical direction. I don't really enjoy it as much. I think I just want to play. Anytime I do have a bit of creative input, I do MD a little bit for my crowd. I'm like, let's just make it as live as possible, which is not always the case with like more pop stuff. But now I'm just like, we can do that live. We can figure that out. We don't need to have it all on backing track, which is fun.
I love it. Yes. You've had some really amazing tours. You've travelled a lot. What are your essentials and non-negotiables when you're away?
Coffee. Coffee is a big thing for me. I think anyone that's followed me more than 20 seconds will know that I am a huge coffee nerd. So I have a little AeroPress that I take with me. In the past, I've had an app where it tells you the best specialty coffee shops in the area. I will say Hannah, the keys player MD, is the person that unleashed this devil in me that wastes a lot of money on coffee.
Not a waste. Not a waste.
It's never a waste. No, I totally agree.
No.
Coffee is a big one. I feel like that's the thing. And it's a great thing to do if you like coffee on tour, because good coffee spots are usually in cool, nice areas. So like if you've got a couple of hours before sound check or whatever, I'll go on a run, only the past last tour, I was never doing that before, to a coffee shop, and then I get to see the city I'm in. Because my sister, she travels for work and she's been like 120 countries. And when I started touring, she was like, I don't care if you're tired, you might never be in this place again, so make sure you see something. And I'm like, yeah, but you aren't doing the shows. And then but I tend to have quite a lot of energy. Maybe it's because I drink too much coffee, but so yeah, coffee, going to find good coffee. I'm pretty flexible and adaptable. If I don't have coffee, I'll be quite upset.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'd say I'm the photographer, videographer on everything. Like on TikTok, I make these like little tour vlogs. I'm not sure it's a non-negotiable, but actually, I would say my Insta360 camera I put on my drums for every single show, whether it's to look back and analyze myself. Sometimes I'm sitting there watching it afterwards, like, oh, I've done this wrong, and other times, it's good for socials. And also, I found an SD card with our second tour, which is in America. And there's so many little things. I don't just film the show, I film little things, but I hadn't ever put them on my phone. I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about all of that. And like some of that is like the best things that happened in my life. And I got to like just find it and be like, oh, all of that in 360.
It looks so cool. It really does. With that being said, I wanted to talk about busyness. When you're away or you're doing all of these tours, time I feel like is just like sorted for you. You've got this to go to, you've got to get ready now, you've got the show, on to the next place. How are you when you're not on tour and there's nothing there's nothing there?
I tend to say to my friends I'm pretty useless as a person, not as a musician or as someone. Like when it comes to work, I'm pretty locked in, but I am a bit chaotic in my personal life a lot of the time. That's something I've actually been trying to work on, and I think weirdly enough the coffee helps. It gives it's something that's a bit of a routine, and I've started working with the London Coffee Guide on sort of doing some bits just to have something when I'm at home, because I've never had a hobby outside of something musical since I was a baby. I had like a really busy couple of years with various different artists. The end of last year was the first time I had like a few months of nothing really, not nothing, little things, but not enough to keep me fulfilled, I suppose. And I really, really, really struggled with that. And I'm getting a lot better. I think January is Januarying at the moment. But I found ways to sort of like getting into running, coffee, things that just aren't, because when it's your job and your hobby and the things you go do with your friends and the things you talk about your friends, you listen to music every single day and then you just start doing songwriting and everything is your hobby and your job in one. I personally found like I kind of lost a bit of I don't really know who I was if I wasn't drumming or, so songwriting's helped massively with that. I've got some really cool things coming up with songwriting that I really enjoy. That's kind of keeping me ticking. And like this month I've suddenly got a few drum studio sessions, which I don't have like a setup at home that's good enough, but I've got a great friend Will who's got a studio and sort of says, yeah, whenever you get offered it, like, so that's been really helpful. But that still doesn't really answer your question. I find on tour, as you said, there's someone telling me where to be, what time. I know I've got a show. I know I've got a day off. It's very routine. Whereas like my days when I'm home, that's not really like that. You have a gig in some random place and a studio session in the morning and a podcast in the morning, which is lovely. I'm not complaining. And then something else at a random time. And then it's all a bit chaotic. When it's chaotic and I'm responsible for it, I'm a bit like, well, I'm an adult. That's crazy. But when it's on tour, I feel like it's a lot easier to have a mental schedule and there's a routine.
I want to ask you about endorsements in a second, but before that, I feel like I cut you off a bit earlier, and I feel like maybe there's a bit of time that we're missing out on. So did you study somewhere, or was there a way that you made your way into working with these artists in the sort of initial stages of your career?
So I went to music college, like age 16 to 18. My school was very academic. I was only drummer in the school forever, basically. And we had a drum kit that you had to hold together with two chairs. And I was playing with an orchestra one day, had the chairs together. I was like, cool. And it was beaten up. It was horrible. But we were playing this orchestra and the family. This is kind of not your right question, but it just popped into my head. And playing da da da. And suddenly the kit just like rolls off the stage. And like, like a slow orchestra stopping, like, and everyone kind of looking. And at first I was like, oh, how embarrassing. I thought, well, I've been writing to the school every term, we need a new drum kit, we need a new drum kit, we need since year 7. And they got it when I left in year 11. This brand new Pearl export. And I was like, oh, cool. And all my friends were already at a young age, which sounds crazy to me, wanting to go into law or business and do that. And I was like, I'm going to be a drummer. And they're like, you shouldn't, that's not a good idea. And I was like, oh, maybe you're right. Like, what should I do? I'll stay at sixth form. And my mum and dad, bless them, thank God, which is kind of the opposite to anything ever. Like, no, you should go to music college. You're not good at anything else. I was like, yeah, but I need to. And they're like, no, let's go look at it. And then obviously I get there and it's like my dreams of High School Musical when I was younger. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I went to music college, loved it. This was the British Academy of New Music. I had a place at ACM. I ended up deferring my year because I had something come up music-wise in America. And then I just didn't end up going back. I just sort of got busy from there through social media. I also used to work at the O2 Arena from the age of like 18 up until a few years ago. I was starting off there as like customer service and then sort of worked my way into stage managing and tech assistant at all festivals, artist liaison, which was great. I'd meet someone like, hey, this is your dressing room. I'm a drummer, by the way. And obviously more natural than that, but made connections through that. Social media, sent my CV to music directors, followed all the musicians that I saw that were doing things that I would like to do. Sometimes mention like, hey, I haven't done anything yet, but can I come watch this? Or, just like really kind of cold calling and being really annoying. And then eventually Dave did that to me.
Sounds like you did everything totally right then, because it all happened, fell into place. So with endorsements and companies in general, do you feel like they are starting to show diversity in their artist rosters?
Yeah, for sure. I think my main one with my kit is British Drum Company, and you had Gabby, legend. I think Gabby is so cool. I think she was the first sort of female within that, and then since then it's got Charisse, myself, and Hannah, and always sort of getting better. Whether that's whatever gender and ethnicity. I think you're seeing it a lot more across the board. I mean, there's definitely always room for improvement, isn't there? But I think that's also partly to do with it starts at a younger age. I think we were kind of talking about this at the drum survey, weren't we? I think it's just going to continually sort of get better, I hope. Yeah, from my kit, which is obviously the main sort of bulk of equipment, I think they do a great job. It's looking kind of almost 50, not quite 50-50, but we're getting there. We'll get there.
Do you feel that there's anything you would want to change about the drum industry and the music industry, if you could?
On that topic, or
on any topic, really? Just if you've noticed anything that you feel isn't how you'd like it to be.
What day you ask, really, but
if you've had a coffee.
Yeah. It depends on the varying types of gigs, whether it's function gigs or touring gigs or studio sessions. I've noticed, and I'm exactly the same, but this, like, if you're burnt out and you're exhausted and you're busy and you're booked, that's the aim. That's the good thing. And I still feel like, for me, I kind of forget everything I've done. Right now I've got nothing, so I'm useless. And there's like really extremes, highs and lows, based on like sort of how busy you are, which sounds silly, but I'm so hard on myself. And I think your career as a musician is kind of only dictated by someone needs you or not. Recently I feel like I've been thinking about, I don't really have any control whether someone needs a drummer or if they have the budget to take a band and it's just going to be on playback. And I just think everything is on everybody else's terms but mine. When it's not busy, you're kind of made to feel like, well, you're just not doing enough when you could be doing absolutely everything possible, but there's only so much you can do. I'm not sure how that kind of links into the burnout, but in my head that sort of made sense. If you're not burnt out, you're not doing anything. You know, I know someone that's decided to take the time off and then not get booked again for something for a while, or, you know, so, and in any other workplace, that's not a thing.
That, excuse me, that actually really resonates with me, because for the longest time, you know, you get the question, especially at like the UK Drum Show, are you busy? And I'd always hate it, because I don't feel anymore that's the goal. Because if I am busy, you need to check on me because I'm not okay, because I'm burnt out. And I just feel like what you just said is so correct. The ideal is possibly not the most healthy. Like, if you are burnt out and you're doing this, that and the other, well, you haven't had any downtime. And then you don't know how to be when there's not much on and it's really unstable. And I would like that to change, please. And I don't know what the answer is, because I know we all need to work, but I also think we shouldn't wear being burnt out like a badge of honor, or being busy in that sense. Does that make any sense?
100%. And I think I definitely did. I definitely do. When I try and touch base with friends that aren't in music, they're like, Ellie, we can never pin you down. Like, you know, I'm missing my nephew being born and birthdays and weddings and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, that's the price and compromise I'm willing to make, because I love what I do.
Yeah.
But then it's that when you come home and then you're suddenly like, oh, hey guys, and not in a negative way, but everyone, you know, like I'm going to see my friend at her work for lunch today, and I go to see them at work because I'm busy on the weekends or I'm away next time that they have some time off. And it's kind of like readjust. If you're away for a long time, kind of readjusting into life, because things move on when you're not here. Enough. I think I've always been go 100% of the time, all the time since I was 16, like working at the O2, being at college, doing gigs this night, and then that's just not really stopped. And like, even when I have a day off, I don't want to be at home. I want to go do something. Like it's only genuinely in the past 2-3 months I had a really distinct break for Christmas this year. I've never had that between when I was 16 working in retail while I was doing an extra thing, and then working at the O2, which would be like 14, 15, 16-hour days sometimes back to back. And I would just be like, cool, yeah, fine, now I'm gonna go play a gig, now I'm gonna go to college, and then never ever given myself that time. I think last year was a time where I was like, oh, now I'm forced into this, and I hated it, so I tried to not do that. And then this year I've been like in a much happier place of myself and things. So I've actually been like, I'm going to figure out more about coffee and get more into songwriting and play a bit more bass and guitar and practice something on drums that I've neglected and just kind of scraped by with that. On the topic of you guys, I love the drum camps, and I think they are so. It's Kira that does the drum camps, and I like Gemma's Taylor Swift transcribing videos a lot because I love Taylor Swift.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Thanks. I was just going to say that from what you've just said to us today, it sounds like you really seem like one of the healthiest busy musicians, that we sort of see, because everyone has the feeling that they're not doing enough, I think, at like whatever level musicians they are. And like you said, like January, February is always a really tough time. But yeah, just this like realizing that you don't need to be doing something all the time and you can find something else outside of music.
That's a very recent discovery.
Okay, well, it sounds like you've got it right. It sounds great.
Oh, thank you. That's really, it's really nice to hear, because I feel like in the past I'd just be, breaking myself, but I wouldn't be feeling, but I'd be like, I'm not, again, I was like, I'm not really a type, like I got a lot of energy all the time. And it was, it's genuinely in the past, since I got off a tour in November and came back for Christmas, and December was mental again. But then once I got back, I was like, this is the first time in my life I've been happy to sort of have a little bit of a break and just like focus on other things, which then in turn make you better at your main thing. It sounds like obvious to people, but it was like a really recent thing for me, and it was like, wow, I'm someone outside of doing this. I still don't really know who that is, but I'm getting there.
No, but that's great, because you're setting yourself up, aren't you? So then when you don't have a tour or whatever, you're not going to like spiral, and you'll be like, well, I'm more than just that.
Yeah,
I've got this.
Done that. I did spiral, and now I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Now we're gonna...
Yes, brilliant. I wanted to ask you if you have a practice routine with drums.
Yeah, so it's a lot of practice pad stuff at the moment for me. I do like the same sort of rhythms I've done, so it's like a lot of sort of doubles, singles. I'm not very good at doing one specific thing. So like the main thing for me growing up, I really struggle to do monotonous things in any sense of anything in my life. So I have to include it into a song. And it kind of works two ways, because I'll produce sort of a track when I'm at home, and then I'll just like play and try and incorporate different things that I've heard and learned into that. And I have to put it into a playable thing. I'm trying to just like find a song that I really like, or like an old song that, and like just a lot by ear. I can read music, but I couldn't sight read. I'm also dyslexic. I can barely read words. So it's a lot by ear and feel. And then I go backwards and go, hey, what was I playing? And figure it out. And if I've got a song to learn, only twice I've been given sheet music, but it's helpful for me to have. If I can listen to it, I can get most of it. And then if I have the sheet, I'll just like double check. But if someone's sight read like a theatre gig, there is no way. Like there was no way. Things move for me a lot as well.
I saw that you are in the Roland V Drums ad that's just been made. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was, we filmed that in like October. I've been with Roland for a few years now. They've been amazing with helping out with stuff. And I've done a couple of shoots for them. Done one for their headphones, and this was for their new kit, which was like quite an honour to sort of be a part of that. I've been with Roland for a while, but they use an agency called Whippet, Ben Kennedy, and he actually asked me to do it. And then when we were linked in, the Ollie from Roland was like, "Oh, hey, cool, like great, this makes sense." The kit is really, really cool. I love a lot of the VAD kits they've done, but this one was kind of like the smaller panels rather than the actual like acoustic looking drums, which in the past I've not loved, but this one was the sort of response on it, and it had like so many more options. Module is insane, and I was like, well, and it connects to your laptop and does all crazy things now. Technology is just mental, but it was really fun. There was a film crew in from LA. We did it in like this house in like Islington. They have a really amazing creative visual marketing sort of video shoot team. All of their shoots are done in really, really cool, and it's so well thought out. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's funny. Ben Kennedy went to ACM with us, didn't he?
Yeah, I'd never really spoken to him properly until last year.
Such a small world, isn't it? I love it.
It is, it really is.
So I think this is our last one. What goals or plans do you have for this year?
I feel like in the past few months, a lot of things mentally have changed for me. I used to kind of just be two sides of the coin, really. Like this time last year, I had nothing booked, and then last year ended up being one of the busiest things I've ever done. I'm kind of half and half in a space of what's going to happen is going to happen. I can hand out my CV and portfolio, can message people, but if you don't need a drummer, don't need a drummer. I can't. That's what bothers me. I don't have control over my career in that sense. But we're talking about drums, but I will go slightly to the left and I'll come back. I said I got really into songwriting, and I kind of want to prioritize that a bit more this year, just so that I go on tour, do drums. That's what I love. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. But coming home, as I said, filling that void, that gap, doing drum studio sessions. But it's not realistic for me at the moment to get a drum studio set up at my home, at least until next year. But songwriting, I can do anywhere. I got my laptop, I got my guitar, I got bass, and I sort of did a couple of tours. But all of the tours I did last year, apart from Dave's, I would drum, and then on the sort of more acoustic songs, I'd jump on bass and guitar. I'd never done that before, and that was like a terrifying thing. But I really loved it. Not more than drums, obviously, but it's not, the variation's nice, and it actually made me a better drummer, because I'm thinking, what would I want a drummer to be playing at this point? So it's made me think about things slightly differently. The goals that I can control, I think, getting better at songwriting. I think I'm potentially going to Nashville next month with an artist, Jack Kane, who is incredible. We're doing some stuff writing wise together with his girlfriend Tony, who's also incredible. And Dave sort of part lives in Nashville, so hopefully you see him there. I've got a few friends out there. I've been meaning to go for a long time. And then I think throughout the year, potentially some things with Dave, something that if that happens, I'm really excited. It's like a bucket list thing, but I don't think I can say what it is because it's not confirmed yet. Yeah, just enjoying downtime a little bit more, which sounds like a backward step, but for me, I think it's something I want to prioritize. I've sort of said to my friends this year, I want to just be calmer in my approach to everything. Because usually I'm just like all the time, everything, and at home I'm like da 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 da. And I'm just like trying to take a step back and just try and be a little bit more laser focused, because I struggle with that.
It really sounds like you've got it sussed.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I don't know, we'll see.
Hopefully that helps you to, like to enjoy all the moments where you are busy and everything, and then make sure you tell us about the bucket list thing. We will keep an eye out, obviously.
I will, I promise I will.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's just been awesome.